Okay, so given f of x is equal to 3x plus 1 and g of x is equal to 8x minus 5, I'd like you to find f of g of x, okay? And hopefully most of you out there recognize that the topic of this video is composite functions. It's one of these things that confuses a lot of students. I have seen so many of these over the years of when it comes to composite functions. They're like, I don't understand. Functions are already confusing enough. And then when you throw something like this at me, I just go, my hair stands up and I'm like, I want to rip up my paper. Listen, composite functions are not that difficult, and we're going to get you through them and make sure you can actually, do composite functions because composite functions are extremely important in algebra and beyond. Okay, you absolutely need to know how to handle them. And of course, functions in general, just a huge topic. You need to know a lot about functions, a lot, a lot. Okay, this obviously this video is going to focus in on composite functions. I've done many videos on composite functions, so you can check those out in my Algebra and Algebra 2 playlist if you want additional practice. But first, let me quickly introduce myself. My name is John. I'm the founder of TabletClass Math. I'm also a middle and high school math teacher, and over several years, I've constructed what I like to believe is one of the best online math help programs there is. Of course, I'll let you be the judge of that if you're interested. You can find a link to my math help program in the description of this video. But let me tell you very briefly what my program entails. I basically have 100 plus different math courses. So, of course, I have the big courses, pre-algebra, algebra 1, geometry, algebra 2, college algebra. I'm going to be launching pre-calculus here soon. I have a lot of people, independent learners, homeschoolers, for example, who take my full courses, other schools that use my curriculum. But I have a lot of specialty courses, test preparation courses. So those of you out there that are studying for like the GED, SAT, GMAT, GRE, teacher certification exams, college placement exams, all these different sorted type of nursing entrance school exams. I have a lot of specialty courses for those particular type of exams. It's a lot of work and to research what's on those exams, and I make custom math courses for that. I've been very, very successful helping people with these type of tests. So if you have some sort of particular exam that you're studying for, check out my course catalog. I likely have that test. Okay, so anyways, again, whether you're taking a class, and you need additional instruction, or you want to be taught in a different way other than the maybe your teacher is explaining it. You can use my program for a lot of different needs. Okay, now, if you are a math student, I kind of assume that you are. If you're watching this video, you need to know the golden rule of math. This is just a universal law of the universe. Over decades of teaching math, one thing is just crystal clear to me. Those students who take the best math notes almost always have the best math grades, and the reverse is true. Those students who don't think note taking is important, they're like, nah, yeah, no, I'd rather be on my cell phone and doing my homework for my next class while the teacher is teaching math. I get it. I was a student one time as well, but you're going to pay a price for that, right? You have to do this little four-letter word to take great math notes. It's called work. It is work, and I think a lot of students don't want to do any more work than they have to, and they think note taking is optional. Note taking is not optional, right? When you're not taking notes, you're not engaging your brain, you're not using your senses, right? Your vision, your hearing, your writing, all of that counts for retention. It's not enough to look at someone else's notes. What is important is you engaging in the process of writing. Okay, that you have to do, right? And it is work. Okay, and it is a skill, and you'll get better at it over time. But the better you make your math notes, the better everything is going to flow for you in mathematics. But in the meantime, as you're improving your notes, um, you need something to study from. So I offer detailed, comprehensive math notes to include pre-algebra, algebra 1, geometry, algebra 2, and trigonometry. You can find links to those notes in the description of this video. All right, so let's get into this problem. What we're going to do first is just review a basic function problem and how functions work. Right now, this is not a basic function review. I've done other videos on what functions are, etc. But this is for the students out there. Hopefully, if you're already working with functions, if this kind of caught your mind, okay, like I'm assuming you already know how to evaluate a function. So let's take a look at this function here. F of x is equal to 4x plus 1. And if I asked you to find f of 5, right, to evaluate this function for 5, well, what does that mean? Okay, well, 5 is my input value, okay? So I'm going to plug in 5 into my function. This f of x, this x represents the input value, whatever value I want it to be. It's 5, so wherever I see x, okay, this is my input, right? These variables here over on this side of the equation of the function is where I'm going to plug in my input value. So I want to know what f of 5 is, so I'm going to replace each one of these x's with 5. Of course, there's only one x here, so I have 4 times 5 plus 1, which of course is 20 plus 1 is 21. That's my output, okay? So f of 5 is equal to 21. So if you understand that very well, you're like, oh yeah, I know that, I know that. I'm like, okay, very good. If you got this, let's go ahead and give you a happy face, an A plus, and a 100%, and 1 or 2 stars, because it's always good to get these on your papers. As a math teacher, I love doing this kind of stuff. You know, people just, hey, you know, I remember how it felt. Nothing's worse as a teacher, you know, giving a bunch of red check marks and bad grades. That's not fun. Okay, so if you got this, then you'll be able to understand composite functions. So let's go with composite functions here. It's a little bit more involved, but it's nothing more than what we just looked at, all right? So here we have two functions. We have f of x and we have g of x. And what we want to find out is f of g of x. Okay, so what's going on here? Well, look at this little g of x. It's inside of these other parentheses, okay? So let's just kind of think about this for a second. These bigger parentheses, these outside parentheses, whatever I plug into that function, remember this was my input, okay? This was my input. So what am I going to input into the f function? Well, I'm going to be plugging in g of x into the f function, okay? All right, so I'm going to be plugging in something into this f function. That's my input, all right? What am I wanting to do? I'm going to plug in the g of x function. Well, the g of x function, let's just go up here and recall, right? The g of x function is the same. It's equal to 8x minus 5, all right? So my input really, this g of x function, my input that I want to find is g of x, but my input is really the same thing as 8x minus 5. So when I think of this, f of g of x, all right, is really, if I could write it this way, f is f of 8x minus 5. Now, I'm not going to write things in this manner, okay? That's not how we want to do it in algebra. Okay, if I want to find f of g of x, I don't write it this way. Okay, I write it this way, but they mean the same thing. Algebraically, I can't really do anything with this g of x. I need some variables. I can't compute anything. I need this version of it. Okay, but I want you to understand these two things mean the same thing. Okay, so f of g of x, my input value is the g of x function, which is the same thing as 8x minus 5. All right, so what we're going to do here, effectively, when we want to find f of g of x, I got my f function here, and my g function there is I'm going to be replacing, let me go ahead and do this, my x was my input, right? So wherever I have my input is g of x, I'm going to replace this x with what? 8x minus 5, right? So let's go ahead and do that now. So f of g of x, what's my input? My input is 8x minus 5. This is my input. So I'm going to replace that x again with 8x minus 5. So if you understand this setup, you got to always use parentheses, by the way, too, when you're plugging in these values. If you understand this part right here, then the rest of this is just kind of simplifying just basic algebra, okay, simplification. This is the part that confuses people the most, all right? So f of g of x, right, this is my input. Whatever my input is, I replace all those x's. We kind of already went over that. I'm not going to use the g of x here. I'm going to use 8x minus 5. And now I can just kind of clean this up. All right, so 3 times 8x is 24x. 3 times negative 5, negative 15 plus 1. Okay, and when I simplify this out, I get 24x minus 14. So f of g of x is 24x minus 14. And if you knew that, if you got that right, definitely give yourself a nice smiley face, and an A plus. Very, very good. Okay, now of course this is an easy problem, but nevertheless, let's not take away from your success. Now, if you didn't understand this and you are like, yeah, now I got this, then you're on the right track, right? Remember, when you're learning this stuff, you got to learn from you got to start from the beginning. Okay, you don't have to jump in and start doing really advanced problems. Okay, that's not a good approach. And I think a lot of times students are like, nah, I can do, I don't need to start practicing with the easy stuff. I can go right to the hard stuff because, yeah, I already get it. No, don't do that, right? Listen to your teacher, follow whatever practice problems they want you to do. There's a reason why they want you to do easy problems before they, give you more advanced problems, because the easy problems are going to practice the concept, and then we can get into more, difficult, scenarios and stuff like that. I can throw in square roots here and all kinds of other crazy stuff and rational expressions. I can make your life more challenging. I can make this more interesting. That's not a problem. But, what I really want you to do is understand what's going on in the first place. And now, if you feel good about composite functions, you could practice whatever problems you're going to be working on, and hopefully this video helped you out. And if that is the case, definitely consider helping me out by smashing that like button and subscribing to my channel. Been on YouTube for a long time. It's a great platform for someone like myself who is obsessed with teaching math in a clear and understandable way. Hopefully you find that's the case, but if you do, I have hundreds and hundreds of videos on my channel organized in various playlists, basic to advanced math. But again, you'll find my best resources by following the links in the description of this video. Okay, so with that being said, I definitely wish you all the best in your mathematics adventures. Thank you for your time and have a great day.